Dis die laaste een, ja. Okay, ons is Hi Lucas, can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
Fine and you?
Doing fantastic.
That's wonderful. So what's going to happen with the process is on the minute we go live, so you can just start talking. Is there anything you want to share? So have you got any?
I do.
Okay.
I'm going to go to an Elma, which looks just like this. It just changes my camera over to a piece of paper so that I can write and do different things like that. But
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to share a PowerPoint or anything like that.
Okay, fantastic. So they're not going to give you access to share PowerPoint because you can then just move your camera. So what I'm going to do is what I want to ask you, is there anything, are you going to answer questions while you're doing presenting? So what I'm going to do, because the chat is not on only me and you can see Zoom. So everyone else is on another application. I'm going to copy the questions there onto the chat box for Zoom for you. Then you can answer it from there. If you've got anything that you want to ask me, you can just ask it in the chat box. Nobody else would see that.
Okay. And how do I say your name?
Belinda.
Belinda. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Awesome. Yeah, because I am going to ask them questions and get feedback. I'm going to ask questions and I want them to answer that. So is that okay?
That's fine. That's fine. That's perfect. So as soon as you ask questions, I will copy it in the chat box for you so you can see the answers, and we'll do that. Yeah, and so it's a very simple, straightforward process.
So I'm not going to be able to see them because we're doing Zoom, just you and me, but you're putting this onto another platform, right?
Yeah. So they look onto, they can see the live streaming via YouTube, and they can see it on Swapcard. So all the questions comes on Swapcard, unfortunately, which you can't see. So I'll just copy the questions into the chat box, so you can then answer them. Or if you ask questions, that's where the answers will appear, and I'll just copy it in for you. Keep in mind, it's only 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, unfortunately, the session just ends. So what I would do is in the chat box, like 10 minutes to, I just will send you a reminder that reminding you the time is almost up.
Okay. I thought it was an hour, but we're good. We'll adjust down. I thought we were going to have time. We probably won't have time for a lot of questions and answers then.
Yeah, unfortunately, it depends on how much time you're spending, you want to presenting. So it's really up to you to make sure that your time is sort of spread over the 45 minutes. But people can always, if you want to ask you questions afterwards, if you want them to any questions, so forth. But yeah, that's the whole process. So it's very easy, very straightforward. Yeah, and we're already almost to go. When we go live, I would tell you there's a slight delay normally. When we do go live, it's about 35 seconds between applications. So as soon as I can see you live on the one screen, I will give you the okay. I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to take myself off the camera so that nobody can see me, but they can only see you.
And Belinda, how many people are on this? It's supposed to be in this session.
At this particular point, I can't tell you yet. It depends on how many people dial into the session. We can only see that after they started gaining access. So at this particular point in time, I'm not sure. I don't think we can see that as yet.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay, wonderful. Are you ready to go?
Ready to go. Just let me know when.
Good. As soon as we live, so it's another about 8 minutes, then we're going. So you can relax. And yeah, just take it from there.
All right. Thanks so much. Appreciate all you do.
Okay, no, wonderful. Is there anything else you would like to know?
I'm just going to go ahead and mute myself and do a few other things while we wait to get ready.
Okay, fantastic. Fantastic.
All right. Thanks.
Hi, we're almost there.
Right.
I'll let you know. As soon as it goes live, I would say live, and you can just start.
Okay.
There you are. You're live.
Awesome. So I am so excited to be able to today to be able to share this with my friends in South Africa. And I'm so excited. I wish that I could be there live. I wish we could all be there here live and be able to talk. But my name is Lucas Sheridan, and I'm the regional director in the region of Colorado, KWRI. I am owner of, just so that you understand where my perspective is, as we talk about the path to a millionaire market center. Um, I was I currently am an investor in 7 different market centers. I'm the OP of 3 market centers, about to be 4. And I was a team leader for 7 years. And in those 7 years, I had the pleasure of seeing a lot of things. I've won 4 black belt And we're back. I love it when computers decide to update in the middle of a live class. And so if you're a team leader, thanks so much, Belinda, for all your help on this. But if you're a team leader, I'd like you to put in the chat, and that way I can see if you're a team leader, because this call really is this class, this presentation is designed to help something really big, like making the path to a millionaire market center. How do I help our market center make $1 million? And take that big vision, and then what's the mindset I need to adopt? Then what's the math behind it? And I'm not good with numbers typically. However, in this situation, it's just a math problem. And then what do I need to do on a daily basis? What battle do I need to win on a daily basis so that I get there? So if you're a team leader, just say I am and tell me where you're from so that I know that team leaders are there and I don't get that live interaction like I typically do. So just to let you know my story, when I first became a team leader, I had really high financial goals. And my high financial goals, I had a little bit of a challenge because I wondered, how am I going to meet those financial goals through the team leader opportunity? I had sold a lot of real estate. Yes, I see a team leader in Pivot. Yes, welcome. I had sold a lot of real estate, and then I became a team leader, and it was a step backwards financially. And and if I could be just really authentic with you, I kind of wondered how I was going to do that. So I was on a call with my MAPS coach one day, and he asked me how much money I would like to make. And I hope the team leaders on this call understand I am passionate about team leaders making as much money as they want to make in the team leader opportunity. And so I said, I'd love to make $250,000 a year, but that's never going to happen because I'm a team leader. I'm going to make maybe 120 on a good year. And he goes, you're probably right. And he did a little bit of math. And that one call changed everything for me, because what Mike Bastian, my MAPS coach, helped me see is that recruiting two cappers or R2s as we call them now, two R2 agents every month for the next 12 months would get me to $250,000 with my bonuses, because I was bonused off of profitability. And I'm like, well, okay. And so I began to do that. And you know what? We did two caps every month. We recruit, and I'll show you how to do that in this call. I hope that's going to help you. I recruited two caps every month. Wasn't good at it when I first started. Two caps every month for the next 12 months. And I did not make $250,000. I made $275,000. My last year as a team leader, and I'm going to be very honest with you, my last year as a team leader, I made $450,000, and I was only base salary was $60,000. So most of it was on a profitability bonus. I hope the team leaders on this call are wanting to make that kind of money. And I hope the OPs on this call are saying, I'm excited he's teaching that, because the Market Center's owner profit that year was over $700,000. Net profit was closer to $1 million. I hope we're all on the right call. And so this is a very passionate conversation for me. And I'm going to start with the math of it, how it works mathematically, the mindset, and then take it down to a daily activity. So I'm going to switch over to my Elmo so that you can see how I think about this. And I hope everybody can see this. Belinda, if you can't see my Elmo, just let me know. We have already experienced a little technical difficulties, but we overcome because we're Keller Williams. And so if I think about the end goal of what I want is $1 million Market Center, right? I think then this is the profit that I want. I think then, how much production do I need to have in my Market Center that gets me to $1 million? And that's production that produces company dollar. Then I think before that, how much do I need to grow by in order to have the type of production that produces $1 million in owner profit? I hope this all makes sense. So it starts with profit, $1 million. This little gap in here is something that you'll see on your trend. And what this is profit as a percentage of company dollar. In a healthy Market Center in the US, at least, that margin, that profit as a percentage of company dollar is 20%. So if we use 20% as the standard, and we know the goal is $1 million, we know that we need to have a company dollar of $5 million of one more zero, $5 million company dollar in order to produce $1 million Market Center. I hope this makes sense. And then we can work the math backwards and then say, okay, how many cappers do I need to grow by to get to a $5 million so I can have $1 million Market Center? I hope that you can understand the logic around this. And then all of a sudden it takes this idea of $1 million Market Center and says, what do I need to do as a team leader on a daily basis to get enough cappers to produce $5 million worth of company dollar? Now, this is what we know. In a healthy Market Center, we want about 50% of our company dollar to come from cappers, and then 50% coming from everybody else. So here's what we do. Is we say, okay, if I have $5 million that I need, half of it comes from cappers, half of it comes from everybody else. I need $2.5 million annually to come from cappers. Let me start a new page here. $2.5 million to come from cappers. because there's two ways to get cappers in any market center. Yes, you can bring them in or you can raise them up. Which is faster? It's always bring them in. It takes a while to get people to cap if they're starting out. And so $2.5 million, and let's pretend that your cap is $20,000 in your area. I don't know what your caps are. That means I need to get 125 cappers to produce $2.5 million, which is half of the company dollar I need for $1 million. Okay, I'm going to pause. What questions do you have? Put them in the chat box, because this is the math of it, and I'm going to take it down to the daily activities we need to do. But what questions or comments do you have about this? Because it's simple math. If half of our company dollar comes from cappers, half of it comes from everybody else, the goal is $5 million on a 20% margin to get $1 million, then I know without any question, I have to get to 125 caps just as fast as possible. Hope this is making sense. So if I know I need, go ahead and put your questions in there. I'm going to keep on going as your questions are being taken from the platform and put into what I can see. So if I know the goal is 125 cappers, and I look at my market center, and let's say your market center has 30 existing cappers, I know I need to get to 95 caps as fast as possible. And let's just say if I was coaching your market center and say, okay, if we want to get to $1 million, how fast do you want to get there? And let's say we want to get there over the next, let's say 4 years. Okay, so we take this number, we divide it by 4, and that leaves you to, let's say you need to get 27 caps every single year. I hope this math makes sense, because this is the path to a millionaire market center. So 27 caps a year, that means if we divide it by the 12 months of the year, that basically says 2 caps a month over 4 years gets me to $1 million market center, because it gets me to 125 caps. I know this is math, and I know that this is math done in a presentation versus live where I could interact with you. But I hope you understand that Gary Keller is absolutely correct when he says, we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 1 year, but we tend to grossly underestimate what we can accomplish in 5. Every market center that is on this area, on this call, that is in a major metropolitan area that has a capper pool, you were awarded a franchise because there's so many cappers in your area. You have the potential in the next 3 to 5 years to become a millionaire market center. And it's based upon your perspective and your mindset of how many caps do I get. And now, team leaders, before we go to the fact that, well, it's just so hard to recruit cappers, I'm going to boil that math down as well. But I want you to understand, I hope it makes sense, because I'm not seeing a lot in the chat box here. I'm hoping that the math makes sense, that if I'm going to get to a millionaire market center, I need to have $5 million of company dollar. If half that $5 million of company dollar comes from cappers, that means $2.5 million comes from caps. Then you just divide your cap into that 2.5 million, and then divide it by how many cappers that you need and how fast you want to get there. 2 caps a month changed my life forever. I didn't do a lot of things really good, but the one thing I did good was figure out, how do I get 2 caps a month? How do I bring them in? And how do I raise them up? We got really good at the 2 caps a month. So here we go. Since I'm not getting a lot of questions, I'm going to keep going with the math. The math keeps going. So I'm going to be very honest with you. When I first became a team leader, I didn't understand this. And OPs, you're going to like this. That as a team leader, my job, ready, was to drive the profit and loss statement for my operating principal. And I drove the profit and loss statement for my operating principal by helping agents sell more real estate. That meant agents in my current office, and that meant agents in my area that weren't selling a lot of real estate. And we call that recruiting. I have never seen myself as a good recruiter. I'm not a good recruiter. I don't see myself as a good recruiter. I'm not good with, there are people in our company like Mark King and Jason Abrams that are so good with their scripts. They're so good with their language. I'm not. That's not me. However, I'm pretty excited about taking a very complex problem like a millionaire market center, saying, okay, Then I need to have $5 million worth of revenue. And then I need to say, oh my goodness, then half of it comes from cappers. Then I need $2.5 million from cappers, and then figure out the math to how many cappers I need to commit myself to on a monthly basis to get myself to $1 million market center. Oh, by the way, I made $450,000 by helping my market center make nearly $1 million on this path. Who loses? Everybody wins. So this is how we began to figure this. And I'm going to go back to my Elmos so that you can see the math. And I hope this makes sense. So if the goal was 2 caps per month, if I'm going to want to recruit 2 caps per month, and by the way, I am not going to ever be the type of recruiter that talks people into things, or where people are just a number to me, or where I'm just so wrapped up in my goal and money's everything. I joined Keller Williams because this company transformed my life. So if I'm going to look at finding 2 caps that I could give them the Keller Williams opportunity and see their lives transformed forever, and I don't want to be a salesman. I don't want to be somebody that is slick and polished and that persuades people into doing things that they didn't want to do. If I'm going to do that, I need to get really good at coming from contribution. Initially, I wasn't very good at it. So that meant I was at a 5-to-1 ratio. So for every 5 capper recruits that I would meet with, 1 of them would join. That's not a very good ratio. You could put your ratios in there. When you're starting, you may be 7-to-1 or 10-to-1. But if I'm committed to this is the goal I am committed to. I'm all in on this goal. I'm going to figure out how many capper appointments do I need to have to get 1. And then I'm going to do that ratio because I'm committed to the goal. We commit to the goal, and then whatever activities we need to do to support that goal, we do. Hope that makes sense. Put your questions in the chat box. I'll be glad to answer that. So at that time, I was about 5-to-1, which means that every month, if I'm committed, unmovably committed to this goal, that means that I need to have 10 appointments with cappers every month on a 5-to-1 conversion rate to get 2 caps. Now, let me ask you this. I'm going to take it off the Elmo for just a second. If I'm having 10 capper appointments every single month, and here, by the way, here's my script. Hi, John, I'm so glad that you came in to meet with me. I have 2 goals for today. 1, to get to know you and anything you want to tell me about your business. And number 2, answer any questions if you have any about Keller Williams. So tell me about your business. And for 45 minutes of that appointment, I would ask questions and do a needs analysis. I would find out what's going great in your business right now. Awesome, fantastic. On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you grade your business? And all the good recruits would say about a 6 or a 7. Oh, that's interesting. What makes it an 8? What makes it a 9? Now I know what their current pain is. So I'd start with the present positive, what's going great, and then I would go into the present negative. What's hurting? What's not going good? Now, here's where many team leaders get trapped up, is once they find, oh, I don't have enough team members, I don't have enough leads, I don't have enough listings, I don't have enough whatever it is, we want to immediately go to fixing that problem. That is a mistake in recruiting. So we start with the present positive, we go to the present negative, and here's what happens. Let's say you've got a recruit that, man, I'm struggling. I just don't have enough time. I'm just so busy. I'm missing all my kids' stuff. Oh, what happens in the next year if nothing changes? I go to future negative and say, what happens if you continue to miss your kids' games? How's that going to feel? What's your plan? What are you intending to do? You get them to the place where they understand, oh my goodness, I don't want that future. I want a preferred future. And then I say, okay, you know what? Maybe instead of this talking about Keller Williams, maybe the rest of our time together, we talk about a future, positive future. What would a plan need to look like so you're only working 40 hours a week and you're at all your kids' event? What would it need to look like for you to have enough profit left over to hire that staff member? What would it need to look like so you don't have a revolving door of agents in and out of your team? All the things that stress mega agents. It goes like this: positive present to negative present. negative present to negative future, from negative future to positive future. That's the quadrant that I would stay in every single appointment. And I would just ask questions. And this is what I would do because I like to talk. Many of you team leaders like to talk as well. Is I would ask a question and then I'd cross my legs and I'd stick my finger over my mouth because I don't want to talk. I want them to talk. In a great recruiting appointment, 3/4 of the appointment needs to be the recruit talking and talking about themselves, about their business, and 1/4 you talking. If we're selling Keller Williams, we are not recruiting at the highest level. Recruiting is about a relationship. Recruiting is about understanding where that person is. Recruiting is about, let me understand, why is this important to you? Why is $1 million important to you? Recruiting is about that. It is not about us telling just the value of Keller Williams. And the challenge we have as team leaders, real honestly, is that we have so much value at our company. We have so many things that we could give people with our systems and our models and our tools, that when we hear a problem, we want to go right into positive futures. Like, oh, we can fix that. If you do that, you're selling instead of consulting. Now, here's what's really fun about that. If I'm having 10 recruiting appointments every single month in which I'm doing this activity, tell me about your business. Scale of 1 to 10, where do you see yourself at? Oh, really? You're at a 7. What makes it an 8? Oh, you don't have enough time. Well, what's going to change if nothing in your world changes? What's that look like? Let's figure out how to figure out a future that's positive. If you do that 10 times, let me ask you this. How good will you be for your current agents? Because isn't that a coaching consulting conversation we have with our current top producers? Here's my aha. Recruiting and retaining, you learn one conversation. And you get really good at being able to diagnose, prescribe, and then follow up. That's recruiting. That's retention. Whenever we say we have a retention issue, well, we also then have a recruiting problem. Whenever we say we have a recruiting problem, we probably also have a retention problem because it's one conversation, a team leader. I had to learn one conversation, how to listen, how to ask questions, how to get them into a negative future so that they would have energy to make a transformation, make a change of companies, change of a process, and then get them into what might the future look like should we want to adjust those things. If I'm doing 10 recruiting appointments every single month, I'm getting good at this conversation. Team leaders, I'm going to say it really bluntly, stop selling Keller Williams. Become the consultant, the real estate consultant of choice in your area. Think about that. In real estate, in our profession, we have, generally speaking, two groups of people. We have a group of people that sell real estate and practice real estate. And then we have a group of people, a very small group of people who actually are business owners that provide the services in real estate. Which is easier to have in your market center? The business owners always are. The people who think like business owners. They're the ones who don't have a lot of drama. They're the ones who don't have a lot of, got a minute type of questions. They're the ones that want to have high level conversations that give us energy as team leaders. Learn as team leaders how to have that conversation, because whatever you're talking about shows me your focus, and whatever you're talking about is going to give you the results. If we have drama conversations, we're going to have drama results. If we have business conversations, we're going to have business results. I learned how to have business conversations simply by having 10 recruiting appointments every single month in which I would ask questions, consult that person. The logical outplay of our conversation would be that they would join Keller Williams. Sometimes not, but many times it was, you know what? It just would make sense to join Keller Williams. Can I tell you the best close? I know we talk about how do we close a recruit. a lot of times I would be talking to people and they would be telling me about this, and then they'd be telling me about their current situation. Then they would be saying, man, I just don't want to miss my kids' soccer games. I don't want to miss my kids', violin recitals. I don't want to miss this. And I'm just always so stressed. Okay, let's work on a plan. And we would work on a plan for them to get out of their pain. Then I would just simply ask, you know what? I don't mean to be presumptuous, but it seems to me that you're the type of person and the type of business leader that when you join Keller Williams, your business explodes and your life explodes. And I'm not telling you you're going to join Keller Williams, but I'm just saying you kind of fit the profile of the people who do really well at KW. Can I ask you a question? What world must I create so that you make the move to Keller Williams and you tell me, gosh, that's perfect? Because my goal, and here's the line, because my goal is not that you join Keller Williams today. My goal is 3 to 5 years from now, you're thanking me for giving you this opportunity because it was the best decision you have ever made in your business life. So what's the world need to look like for this transition to make sense? Okay, I hope that helps. All right, so let's get back to the math because I know you're really worried about not doing more math. So if I know we're totally committed to this goal, 2 caps a month, because we're committed to the $1 Million Market Center. If I know right now, and by the way, you only know this by tracking this number. If I knew at that time I was 5 to 1, that meant I needed to have 10 appointments. Now in the US, we have a situation where when a new team leader comes in, that many times people don't show up for an appointment. They have an out-of-town buyer. They have a listing come up. They have an inspection. They have all sorts of things, and they don't show up. Well, I know I need to have 10 appointments for me to hit these numbers. So if half of them don't show up, I know then I need to set 20 appointments monthly for half of them not to show up so that at 5 to 1, I can get 2 caps. It's just math. So if I know that half of them don't show up, I don't complain about that. I don't go around, man, they no-showed on me again. I simply say, okay, this is how we play the game. So if I need to have 10 appointments, half of them don't show up, I need to set 20 appointments every single month. Now let's just do the math about that. 20 appointments, if we divide that by 4 weeks in a month, that means I need to set 5 every week. How many work days are there in a week? That means all I have to do is set 1 cap appointment a day. And the math even gets better, all right? And thank you for all your comments. Keep your comments coming in. So if I'm committed to set 1 cap appointment a day, that means I set 5 a week. That means every month I set 20. Half of them don't show up. That means I have 10. On a 5 to 1 ratio, I get 2 caps a month. 2 caps a month already. 2 caps a month over time will get you to $1 Million Market Center as long as you provide value. You don't want them going out the back door. Yes, the recruiting appointment's all about them. So every day I'm going to come in as a team leader, and if I know this is the goal, I need to set 1 appointment a day with a capper. And in my market centers, I say set 3 every single day, 1 with an R2. You can set 2 R2s. You can set 2 R1s, but you have to set 1 every day with an R2. This is how I look at it. So if I know the goal every day is to set 1 R2 appointment every day, let's pretend that I have to call 3 to get 1 to say yes. Just to say yes. I know half of them aren't going to show up, but let's say I have to talk to 3 people. Now, maybe you need to talk to 4 caps a day. Maybe you need to talk to 5 caps a day to get this 1, but you know that every day you have to set 1. For me, I had to talk to 3 caps a day in order to get 1 say that they would be willing to meet with me, knowing that half of them wouldn't show up. Let's pretend that half of the agents that you call don't pick up their phone. So that meant for Lucas, I had to dial 6 caps a day so that I could talk to 3 caps a day, so that I could set an appointment a day, so that I could set 5 a week, so that I could set 20 a month. Half of them don't show up. I meet with 10 of them on a 5 to 1 ratio. I would get 2. And I did all that for the express purpose of getting the cappers that I needed to make $5 million a company dollar so that my market center would make $1 million. How are we doing? Does the math make sense? Team leaders, this conversation is how we help an agent get to $1 million, don't we? It's like, if you want to make $1 million, this is how we can boil it down. This is how many listing appointments you and your team need to set every single week. What's the goal? Here's your profit goal. How much do you need to sell? How much GCI do you need to have in order to have that? And we know on a 30, 30, 40, that in order to net $1 million, you had 40% margins. We know the math, and we can take it all the way down to listing appointments. Then we can say, okay, then you're going to lead generate every day from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock, and you're going to role play 8:30 to 9 o'clock. Does this make sense? It's the exact same thing we do. I hope that you're having some ahas, because I'm going to give you a schedule. If you have questions, put them in the chat box, because I want to make sure that you get this. Because the goal isn't that I just teach a class that you may be multitasking on and taking care of your dogs. I don't even know what time it is in South Africa. It's like 8:30 in the morning here. This is my first thing of the day. This is my goal for today, is that some team leader, some OP is listening to this call and watching this and say, oh my gosh, Lucas, you remember that time during the middle of a world pandemic, you got on to Family Reunion South Africa, and you taught us how to get to $1 million market center. And what my dream is 3 years from now, you catch me at a live event, you come and you hug my neck, and you say, that conversation changed everything for me. We became $1 million market center. That's the goal. But guys, here's the thing. We learned this in Bold. Success is simple. What I just showed you, all these little drawings and my mad scientist diagrams, that's simple. It's not easy, because a daily basis, something comes up. I just knew this as a team leader. My job was to set at least one capper appointment every day so that I could meet with 10 of them every day. And here's what's really fun. You only make a cold call once. I was new to Kansas City, and I'm like, oh man, I hate cold calls. And I do. I'm a relationship guy. I don't like cold calls. But here's what I realized is you only make a cold call once, because the second time you call, it's not cold. I know them even if they say, no, I'm too busy to meet with you. Yeah, whoever that OP that says I'm definitely that OP, my name is Lucas Sheridan. My email is lucas, lucas.s@kdb.com. Find me on Facebook. My cell phone number is 281-857-2299. Call me when you're in the United States. But here's the thing. Every day, and I love that question, how did you get yourself positive to keep going? We give you that's a really great question, because you're going to lead this session. And if you got fired up by it, you got inspired by it, that's awesome. You're going to run out of here and you're going to start implementing. The challenge is what's going to happen over the next 90 days, the next 120 days, what's going to happen through a year, right? So this is what you do is every day I wake up and I do affirmations. I go to the gym. I hug my loved ones. I've got 4 kids between the ages of 22 and 29. At that time, they were all at the house. So, I'd hug my kids, hug my wife of 32 years. I'd get my energy, just like Gary talks about in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, right? And I would get my mindset. And then this is what I would do. I would pray this has just worked for me. I'm not telling you to become a person of faith. I'm just saying it worked for me. I would pray every day and say, God, help me find today the agents that need my help, that need the Keller Williams opportunity. And I would just start dialing. I would do 6 dials a day. And if somebody got mean with me and hung up on me, I'm thinking, well, they just didn't need me. That's all. It started with my head, then went into my hands, and it became a daily habit. So can I give you just a suggestion, team leaders and OPs? This is what I know as an OP. And OPs, I'll talk directly to you. You'll either be committed to your vision for your market center, or you'll be committed to the great reasons your team leader gives you for why they didn't get it done on a daily basis. I'm so committed to my 7 team leaders. I don't let them, and this is just works for me. Every day by 5 o'clock, they have to send me a text. They send it to me, the MCA, and their MAPS coach. And you could ask Matt Teeter, you could ask Susan Venters, you could ask Stephanie Scroggins, MAPS coaches, that Brett Caldwell, they're all on this texting that they have to send to me by the end of the day of how many appointments they set that day. They need to set 3 and who they are with, because one of them has to be with an R2. And that comes every single day. It's a habit. And team leaders in my world know that I'm not happy if you don't set 3 a day. And it's not, I could care less how many appointments they set, but I am totally committed as an OP to making sure I have millionaire team leaders in my world. And it goes back to a habit. I either buy into that vision that they keep that habit, or I buy into their excuses why they didn't do that habit. Make sense? And maybe we'll talk about follow-up. That's a great question here in just a second. So this is what I did. When I coach top agents, and pretty much all that I coach now are people who have GCIs over $1 million. The number one subject we have to deal with is how they relate to time. How do you relate to time? We have a saying in some of my market centers, we call them Pop-Tart agents, where they just pop up and they run off to do this, and they pop up and they run off to do this. Those are people who practice real estate. The people who actually own and operate a business manage their time. So can I give you a suggestion as team leaders? What if every day you committed to the following schedule? 8:30 to 9 o'clock, you do a daily stand-up where you talk about your growth. You talk about your growth. You talk about how are you doing towards your goals. You're talking about the appointments you set and incoming agents. From 9 to 11, you do lead generation. 9 to 11, you do lead generation. 11 to 12, you do lead follow-up. I hope this schedule is starting to sound a little familiar. 12 to 12:30, you do lunch because it's about your energy, team leaders. The 12:30 to 2, cap appointment number 1. From 2 to 3:30, cap appointment number 2. 3:30 to 5, cap appointment number 3. And what if you did this schedule Monday through Thursday, and you spent all day Friday coaching and consulting your top 20%? Now, I know team leaders, and if you're a team leader on this call that says, Lucas, you don't understand, my schedule's far too busy. This is what I would suggest to do. This is January 7th. Go somewhere in the middle of February, pick a random Wednesday, and put the schedule in your calendar and don't deviate from it. Now, I only want team leaders to do 2 appointments a day, and we have blocked 3 appointments a day. That 3rd appointment time block could be used to do anything. I know this. If I have 2 hours of lead gen, it doesn't take me 2 hours to set 3 appointments. I've got a lot of time baked into that. Lead follow-up, I don't spend an hour usually a day for lead follow-up. But if I have my calendar set to do that, that reflects my priorities of getting to $1 million market center. This is what I discovered. And by the way, getting me into a schedule is really tough. Here's what top people want to do. They want to follow a leader who knows how to own a business. And they're looking at team leaders to not be Pop-Tart team leaders. I control my schedule. My schedule reflects my priorities. My calendar reflects what's really authentically important to me. They want that. So you setting 3 appointments a day, 1 with a capper, you having 20 appointments set a month to have 10 appointments a month, to get 2 cappers a month is about following a schedule. What if we were to do that? This is what my bet is. If I could get 4 or 5 market centers in South Africa to buy into this schedule, we would paint South Africa red. It would be awesome. I hope this makes sense. And this is how you get good at that. People are asking about follow-up. People are asking what scripts to use. People are asking, and I understand that. This is how you get good at it. Get into the trenches and just start doing it. Tell me about your business. In a week after I meet with them, hey, just was thinking about your business. What have you done with your time? What have you done with and I'm texting them, I'm emailing them, I'm calling them, I'm studying them on in the MLS, I'm studying them on broker metrics, which we use in the States. I'm studying what they're doing. I'm constantly trying to keep them top of my mind, so I'm staying in touch with them. I don't know about you. I hope this is helpful. What if you have ahas? We've got 5 more minutes. If you've got ahas, go ahead and please just put your ahas in the chat box. And once again, and Belinda, you can put my email in the chat on what they see. Lucas, lucas.s@kw.com. I would love to email you, or you can find me on Facebook, whatever. But here's the bottom line about this for me. When I was in ministry for 20 years before I came into real estate, and I got out of ministry in 2008. I was in Houston, Texas at the time. The market was terrible, and I watched HGTV and saw house centers that I could show a house, 3 houses, and have one under contract in half an hour. And we all know that that's not how real estate works, but I made a decision based upon that show. And so I became a real estate agent, and I joined a RE/MAX brokerage. Nothing wrong with RE/MAX, but in the 5 months that I was at RE/MAX, I went $100,000 of credit card debt, just like that. I was scared out of my mind, and I couldn't sell real estate. And whenever I would go out to the coffee pot and see all the other agents collected around there, all I could hear them say is how bad the market was and how terrible the lending institutions were, and how the housing crash of, in the United States back in 2008, the housing market crashed, how it was tough to sell real estate, and it was depressing every time I would go into the office. After 5 months doing one transaction at RE/MAX, I came to Keller Williams in March of 2009, and in 9 months, I did 32 transactions in that same market. It changed my life forever. Guys, I'm on a mission that we wake up every single day, and we, as team leaders, as OPs, and we get a fire in our belly, and we go out and we find the other Lucas Schrandens that are out there scared out of their minds because they're deeply in debt, wondering how they're going to take care of their families. We talk to that top agent that looks really, really good, that everybody's scared to call, that nobody wants to recruit because they have such a big business, but they're not running a business, and they need what we have to offer. I'm on mission to change history. I hope that you are as well. I hope today's been helpful. I know we've got a couple minutes. I know I can take questions in the chat box. This is a little atypical because I like to have crowd interaction, and I'm not able to do that here. And I really am looking forward to someday of being able to see you guys in face-to-face. Hopefully Mega Camp in Austin, Texas this year actually happens live, and I meet some of you. Please come and introduce yourself. I would love to meet you and hear how it's going. And really 3 to 5 years from now, I want to hear the stories of transformation. Okay? If there's any questions, go ahead and post them now. And we've got 2 minutes left, and then Belinda's going to pull the cord on me. And so that, if you're posting questions, Belinda has to actually copy and paste it so that I could see it on my Zoom feed. So any questions? Any comments? Any ahas? Yeah, this entire session was an aha. What specifically, though? I mean, what are you going to do? How are you going to behave? What habits are you going to employ? What 6 months from now, what are you still going to stick with you as far as habits, new habits that you developed? All right. Well, I sure appreciate you all. Find me on Facebook. Send me an email. I love to get to know you all. So thank you so much for being on this. I don't know what time it is in South Africa, but I know that this has been a great start to my day, being able to talk to you all. Have an amazing day. Let me know what I can do to help.